involved with. The first thing we recommend you do is to get kids excited about fishing, is to take them to a farm pond or a lake somewhere where there's a lot of panfish, and get them excited about catching the fish. Now I want to caution you about one thing. If you're taking the kids fishing, listen to what I'm saying. Take the kids fishing. That means if you want to have a good experience, leave your rod and reel at home. Because the minute you think you can fish while they're fishing, everybody's going to be frustrated and it's not going to be a good day. Take the kids fishing means leave your gear at home. Once they catch panfish and they're excited about fishing, if you want to get them involved with something else, a little bit bigger fish, that's where I highly recommend channel cats. Channel cats are a scavenger fish. They will eat anything. You don't have to be real specialized to catch them. They'll eat worms. They'll eat insects. They'll eat crustaceans, minnows, live bait, cut bait, manufactured baits. They're not real finicky. If I have a bass trip scheduled and all of a sudden we get a bunch of rain and the river comes up a foot and it's high and muddy, I'm going to talk to the clients and say, hey, I think we should reschedule. If I got a channel cat trip and the river comes up and gets high and muddy, no big deal, we're going to go, they're going to cooperate. If it's low and clear, no big deal, they're going to cooperate. Summertime, day, night, it doesn't matter, they're going to cooperate. I've had clients call me, they're calling for 100-degree temperature. They'll call and say, do you think the fish are going to bite? And I'll say, that weather's going to affect you more than it's going to affect those fish. And that's the truth of it, they will cooperate for you. So, I highly recommend you get them involved in fishing for catfish. I'm going to pass some things out here, and as they come around, if you would, whoever ends up with them, I'd appreciate it if you bring them back up here. Some things have disappeared and now I can't show you. So what we're going to pass around right there is a photo. The top one is a flathead and the bottom one's a channel cat. Channel cats are going to have an appearance of light gray, dark gray, black with a white belly. Any of those are going to have dots on it, and they will have a forked tail, which is different than the flatheads, which we'll talk about. The channel cats make good table fare. So it's kind of a unique thing. Take the kids out, let them catch some catfish, let them get to feed the family. It's a unique experience for them. Channel cats, basically, if I'm going to process channel cats, I'm going to feel down to the last rib. I'm going to take my fillet knife, cut right there, all the way to the spine, bring it down towards the tail, flip it over, and deskin it just like you would a walleye or a smallmouth bass, anything like that. There'll be, in that manner, there's no bones or anything in that flesh. I'm going to take that flesh, I'm going to soak it in salt water for about an hour. That's going to draw the blood out. I see some nods over here. They must eat catfish. That'll firm up the meat some. I'm going to freeze it. The day we're going to cook it, I'll get it out, thaw it out. I'll soak it in milk for about 2 hours. And then I'm going to bread it, deep fry it, or bread it, pan fry it. Pretty good meal. Works out very well. As far as locations, they're in our rivers, they're in our streams, they're in your lakes, bigger creeks. They're all over the place. The biggest mistake I see people do when they're catfishing is they will spend too much time in one area. Basically, if I'm wading a creek or stream, I'm going to look for structure, be it a tree falling in the water, be it a ledge, be it an island, a grass bed, and I'm going to fish in front of it. If I don't get bit, I'm going to fish behind it. But any of those locations, whether it's cut bait, manufactured bait, whatever, I'm only going to spend about 10 minutes in that area. If I don't get bit, I'm going to the next structure. If I'm on the river, I'm going to look for locations, again, the same type of thing. Above the water, any visible structure I see. If I'm using my sonar, I'm looking for any irregularity, whether it's a dip, whether it's a hump or a ledge or a boulder, something like that. Look for those irregularities, something different, and that's where I'm going to set up. When I set up on them, most of the time in our area, I'm fishing 3 to 8 feet of water. However, I have a 100-foot anchor rope on my anchor. The reason for that is, if I'm on fish, I don't want to pick up and move if I don't have to. So what we'll do is we'll drop the anchor straight out the front of the boat. We'll fish. We've got fish there, we're going to stay and we're going to fish them. If in fact they stop biting, I'm going to take my off the center, tie it to my side cleat. That'll swing my boat maybe 10 yards. fish that spot. Unhook, tie the other side, and swing the boat the other way. So basically, out of one anchor point, I can fish 3 different ways. That's going to present that bait a little bit different, and typically it'll help me pick up fish. If in fact I do all that and the bite stops, now I'm going to peel off about 15 feet of line, and I'm going to start the process all over. I've had times where on one anchor point, I've been able to fish a 4-hour trip and never pick that anchor up. So make sure you saturate that area really well. But again, when you first set up, if you're there for more than 10 minutes and they're not there, particularly if you're using the bait I'm going to show you, move on. The bait that I use all the time for channel cats, it's a manufactured bait and it's called Sudden Impact. You can pass that around for you. Sudden Impact is a manufactured bait and it's called a fiber bait. And the reason that is because there are fibers in the bait and you want to wrap that around your hook. You don't have to stick your nose in this to smell it, so go ahead and pass that around, please. Team Catfish also came out with a product and it's called Fiber Nuggets. Same formula, however they do have different flavors of it. This you can put on a J hook or a circle hook and it'll stay on better for you. People have used this bait and they met me on the river or in a seminar. They fished it and they say it's a great bait, but one of the concerns they have is that it washes off fairly quickly, particularly if you're in fast current. So I started thinking about how can I make it stay on the hook better. So I bought a spring, cut it, a 3-inch spring, cut it in 1/2-inch pieces, put it on my hook, wrapped them fibers around it, and it did stay on better. So I went online and I found what's called a dough bait hook. This is very sharp, please be careful. And the spring already comes on it. So you can buy them and they'll work very well. With Sudden Impact, you want to fish a number 6 treble hook. In May and October I catch bigger channel cats. I might upsize to a number 4. You basically stick that bait down in your pail, or your hook down in there, and you wrap the fibers around it, pull up slowly, cut it off, and you want maybe a 1/2-inch ball there, no bigger than 1 inch, and you got that ball on there. And that's all you need to fish. So there are other devices you can use, dip bait tubes, put them in there, rub your paddle around, fill them up, and there you can fish a J hook again, circle hook, or a treble hook. When I'm fishing Sudden Impact and treble hooks, I will take the treble hooks and I will pinch the barbs down. We get plenty of bites. If I lose a fish or 2, it's not a big deal. Pinching the barbs down makes it easier to get the hook out and it's less damage to the fish. Another thing we did, again, to try to improve the economics of using the bait is I got thinking about an egg sack. So I went out to a tackle store and I bought an egg tying kit. So in here you get mesh and you get a knot string. So that works very well. I didn't particularly like the mesh that came with it, so I used gauze. Any of your medical gauze you might use for a wound, that's what I like to use better. Inside this kit is a little device. It opens up, different sizes. You cut your mesh, you lay it on there, and then I took an injector, made the hole wider on it where the needle is, so you just fill your injector with the bait, put the plunger back in, you got your mesh laying there, you push this in, and you make a little 1/2-inch or 1-inch ball of bait, pinch that tight, twist it, kind of twist the top of your sack, and then use the no-knot string, wrap it around there, open it up, make about a dozen of those, put them in a gallon plastic bag, take them with you, and they're going to hold up very well. You can get several fish on one of them. Last year we had an experience where they beat that sack up so bad there was no meat left in it at all, but that white gauze was stained brown with the scent. They were just hitting that white gauze. So it shows the impact that this bait can have. It's really incredible, and I highly recommend it. We've located our fish, we've anchored on them, and what I fish is a bait caster, mainly because it lays better in my rod hole. The nice thing about channel cat fishing is, if you fish now, you don't have to go out and buy a bunch of specialized gear. You can use your bass gear. The only thing I do is I upsize the line, and I fish 17-pound test fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon is less visible to the fish, it's abrasion resistant, and it's low stretch, which makes it more sensitive. I fish an egg sinker, and that is anywhere where I fish, a 1/4 ounce up to a 3/4 ounce is all I need. Then I have a little yellow disc on here, and that's called a sinker bumper. And that sinker bumper, what that will do is when you catch a fish, and that fish is bouncing, jumping around, rolling around, and that sinker's banging around, it's hitting your knot. That little disc that we're passing around will protect your knot. That way you don't get that knot damage. Then we have a swivel, and then I have a leader. Typically, I have a 2-foot leader, and then I have my treble hook, J-hook, whatever it is you're going to fish. I mainly fish the treble hooks without anything else other than the springs on there, dip it in, wrap my bait in it. So we go out and I anchor on a waypoint. And one thing, if you're using your GPS and you're using waypoints, and you put a rock there or a flag or whatever you do, put a notation. If you're fishing water like a river that fluctuates, make sure you put the river gauge stage there. For instance, if I put a waypoint and I mark channel cat, and I'm fishing 7 foot of water, and then a month later I go to that same waypoint that says channel cat, but it's 4 foot of water, I could either be high and dry on that spot, or there may not be enough water there to hold fish, or not enough current. So make sure when you mark your waypoint that you put in some specific information that will help you understand what that waypoint means. When you are fishing, I don't care what species it is, pay attention to what is happening around you. Pay attention, I'm telling you, those fish will talk to you. They will tell you something. And it may be that we want a different lure, we want a different color, we want a faster retrieve, a slower retrieve. I had a situation that told me, the fish told me they wanted a different length leader. So I had a client call me who's a bass fisherman. And he said, hey, I want to fish on Saturday. And I told him to call for a lot of rain, it's probably going to be high and muddy. I don't think we should go, or I think you should go for channel cat. He said, man, I'm off work, I really want to go fishing. I said, I'll call you Friday. I called him Friday. Hey, river's high and muddy, just like we thought. I think we should reschedule. Now I really want to fish. I'm like, dude, if you really want to fish, we should go for channel cats. After 5 to 10 minutes back and forth, he said, fine, we'll go try those channel cats. So we went out, bought channel cats in the high muddy water, had a good time. 2 weeks later, he calls me, he says, hey, I want to book a trip. I said, river's looking great, it's clear, bass are biting, you're going to have a good trip. He said, no, I want to go for channel cats. I said, really? He said, yeah, I want to go for those channel cats, and I want to bring my stepson. I said, that's fantastic. He said, one more thing. I said, what's that? He goes, can I use my own gear? I said, well, did you convert your bass gear? You got the right line and stuff? He goes, no, I went out and I bought 3 new rods. I'm all rigged up and I want to go. I said, fantastic. So he shows up, talk to him. Yep, I've got 17 pounds on there. He's got the egg sinker, the leader. All right, let's go fishing. We go out and we set up on a waypoint. And he's got his 3 rods. I always want to fish at least 4. Reach below deck, pull one of my rods out, bait it up, throw them out. Whenever I set up, the first thing I do is I'll take a tablespoon of that bait, I'll stir it in water, try to get a chum slick going while I'm baiting the other rods. So I get them all out, we set up, short period of time, boom, we got a fish. Then we get a second fish. Then we get a third fish. He goes, hey, what's going on here? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, why are we only catching them on your rod? I said, that's very observant, but I'm not sure. Bring a rod in. So he brought it in. The only difference was his leader was about 10 to 12 inches longer than mine. I said, I don't understand. The longer leader shouldn't hurt us that much, but let's cut yours down and match mine. We cut it down, and sure enough, boom, boom. Now we got 2 rods catching fish. What do you do with the other 2 rods? Exactly. Change the leader. Now we got 4 rods catching fish. And why? Because we listened to what the fish told us. Pay attention. They're going to tell you something. Channel cats, we talked about those structures or those locations. We can catch them daytime, nighttime. You do not have to fish them at night. You do not need all that blood and guts. I use the sudden impact. I keep it outside. If it freezes in the winter, then it thaws out, it works fine. If it's out there in the hot sun, you know, what's your concern? It might stink more, right? For catfish, it doesn't matter. They're like a giant tongue. They sense all kinds of scents and odors. Like I said, I fish things that stink worse. I haven't fished anything any better. I don't mess with the blood and guts anymore. I used to, I don't anymore. That's all I use is that set. As far as handling those fish, that pectoral fin, most of our fish are going to be 12 to 18 inches. That pectoral fin is very sharp. If he squirms and touches you with it, you're going to have a pin prick, a drop of blood, then it's going to burn like crazy. So always carry some hand sanitizer or something like that you can drop on that right away. You're going to want to have proper tools to handle these things. I always have pliers along so I can pitch them barbs down right and get a hook out if you have problems with it. Scissors, I got cutters in case I got to cut a hook. Fish grippers, very important. Using a fish gripper. This one is rounded edges, so that if I have a real heavy fish, I don't hurt the jaw of it. Back here at Unhooker, right back there, they've got these for sale, and they also have a de-hooker. So if you're holding that fish, you can use that de-hooker in there and release it out, and it makes your life a lot simpler, and it saves you any damage. If the kids are going to let them release the fish, make sure you put that lanyard on, because unfortunately, I've let the kids release them and I've turned around to see mine swimming down the river. So make sure they're wearing the lanyard. Right back here on Hooker, he's got them for sale. You run any show specials? Show specials right back there. As far as my paddle, you can use a stick, a branch, a paint stirrer, anything like that. I use an aluminum one. It's sturdy, it's easy to clean in the water, and it won't stink if I put it in my tackle box. If I put it in wet, you know, wood's gonna mold on you or whatever. So just a handy little trick. Fishing them in the summertime, hot, bright sun. Make sure you got plenty of water. Take care of yourself. Have a hat, sunglasses. Make sure you got sunscreen. And take care of yourself when you're out there and be safe. Any questions on channel cats before we move on to flatheads?